Most people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions on a lake house, and then completely overlook the little things that actually make lake life easier. Today, we're visiting with Ethan from Captain's Choice, located right here in the underrated, often pass-through town of Greenview. Known for their boat lift remote systems, they're quickly becoming a go-to spot for accessories like wet steps, dock furniture, boat stairs, lake maps, and a bunch of other things you probably didn't realize you needed until now. So let me introduce you to Ethan. Ethan Nieder.
Hey, what's going on?
Thanks for having me, man. So this is a sweet little setup you got here.
Yeah, thanks.
So we are in the big metropolis of Greenview.
Yep.
As I mentioned in the intro, and you're passionate about this little area of the lake.
Yeah, we've been working on this town for quite a while. It was kind of going down, there wasn't much going on, so started buying up some commercial properties and fixing them and getting them going and trying to get the town turned around a little bit.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are happy to hear that, because we always talk about Osage, we always talk about Lake Ozarks, Sunrise, maybe a little bit of Camdenton. I bet there's some people watching this that are like, where the hell is Greenview?
Exactly,
So
yeah.
where are we as it relates to the Lake of the Ozarks?
Well, we're kind of on the outskirts of Camdenton. Greenview is between the Hurricane Deck and the Nangle Bridge. It's actually a Camdenton address, but we're just a township since we don't have a post office. Yeah, so right here in between Captain Ron's and the Cave, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you will probably be familiar with maybe the Glory Hole.
Yep.
Or the couple Mexican restaurants
Yep.
over there.
Yep.
Okay, so Captain's Choice, man. You've somehow got into this business at some point along the line and decided these boat lifts need more convenience.
Yeah, well, my stepdad got me into it back in 2007, something like that, is when we built our first one. Called me when I was living in St. Louis and said, hey, you want to start a boat lift control company? And I said, okay. I was here 2 days later and never turned back. So
Really?
I've been down here since I was 21 and won't ever live anywhere else.
You would call the boat lift remote control, the whole setup contraption that you have, that's kind of like your flagship product.
Yeah, so pretty much what we do is we manufacture the control units to raise and lower the boat lift. We do manuals and remotes. Started with just remotes and then moved into the manual game when we realized there was a need for it as well. Most of what we do is supply dock and lift companies, but we also sell direct to the public too.
Explain why this is the type of product that you may not have realized you needed, but now you want it.
Well, it's really a need at Lake of the Ozarks because you need to get your lift out of the water when you're out boating, because our lake is so rough, it's not like any other lake. If you don't, it just tears the dock and the lift up. And the only other option then, controlling it from the boat is pulling back to the dock, hopping off, raising it, jumping back in the boat and going out, which can become dangerous and a pain and bad for the boat.
Yep.
So doing this, you're able to stay in the boat, raise, lower it, and not kill yourself in the process. And if you're anywhere near the 20-mile mark or anything like that, you'll know the struggle.
Yeah.
So you got to do that to, A, raise the lift, and then also when you come back from boating from the day, to get the lift back down. So
Yeah, so for anybody who may not be super familiar with that, maybe they're new to the lake, maybe they're thinking about moving to the lake, why is it important that you raise the lift up out of the water versus leaving it down all day while you're out in the water?
well, if you leave it down, the weight of the lift is hanging on, typically 4 bolts. And the dock's moving one way, the lift's moving the other way. It works like a crowbar and just bends and just breaks everything. So getting up out of the water to where it's free floating and moving with the dock, it's not putting any stress on anything.
If you're somebody who's deep in a cove and maybe don't get a lot of wake, it's not necessarily as important as somebody who's out closer to the channel where the waves are just
Yeah, the rougher the water, the more important. Obviously in the back of the coves, you could probably get away with it. You're still hanging a ton of weight, dead weight from 4 bolts and a couple chains. So, bringing it up is beneficial, but not necessary. Certain places on the lake, if you don't, you won't have a lift when you get back.
So for some people, this is a necessity. For some people, this is a convenience.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about kind of the product of itself. Like, how did something like this even come around? You said 2007. I assume the product was around even before then, or?
There was some guys doing it, and it was pretty new, but recently it's really become a need for a lot of these people, because anybody that's been in the lake knows how busy it's getting on holiday weekends and stuff, and how rough it can actually get out there. So it's really important to be able to not have to jump on and off your boat to do what you need to do.
Absolutely. Now, Captain's Choice, as mentioned, is local to the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
We're sitting here in your showroom, but you've also got a building next door where you literally manufacture and build these things.
Yep, we build them right here, right next door. We've got a shop right next to the showroom. Start to finish, that's where they get built. If you need anything, you can come right up to us, shake our hands, we'll change your batteries for you. But yeah, it's the only company down here that's local and builds right here and here to help you. So
Is there a lot of competitors in this space?
the Lake of the Ozarks?
Just in general?
Not many, a few. There's a few out there that's been there a while, some newer guys, but nobody that really kind of does it like we do. They kind of focus more on bells and whistles and things like that and making them fancy, and we're more about just making it work every single time. You're only down here 3-4 times a year sometimes. You want it to work and you want it to work right. So we make a nice simple product that is going to work and work for a long time.
It brings up a good point, because for somebody who's not familiar with this product, you're relying on a remote, you're relying on a battery versus the old traditional way, which admittedly I have one of those where I just do the cranks, right? And so letting air in, putting air, letting air out, etc. Is there a concern that because you're relying on technology, so to speak, that it just may not work? And then what do? Is there an override? How does it?
Yeah, I mean, there's overrides on it for emergency situations, but the way we build them, everything is kind of overkill. The valves we use are 10 times stronger than they have to be. Just because if they sit for a year, we don't want them to get seized up. If you get some debris and stuff like that, it'll break right through them. And the way we actually build our product, it's got one control panel that turns on and off motors, as opposed to a bunch of daisy chain control boards together. So it's very simple and not a lot can go wrong. If there is issues, we do have our service team. We're 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We don't stop. This is what we do. But we really don't do much on weekends. We kind of hang out here and wait for calls, and they usually just don't come. So we just cut grass and take care of the place.
And you mentioned we're recording this shortly after Memorial Day weekend 2026. You had said that you had one of the busiest days you've ever had, and it was like 6 calls.
Yeah, we did 6, and most of them were over a decade old, and just kind of sitting there. So
really, a decade old.
Yeah. That's really what we kind of see. What we're working on most is just little tune-ups and changing switches and antennas and things like that, just over time. And over the past 20 years we've been building these. Every year I'm just fine-tuning the little things. If we work on something, we fix it. Work on something, we fix it. We about 5 or 6 years ago we came to the realization that the antennas and wires and switches have about a 10-year life and they need replaced. So we got rid of them. Now it's Bluetooth, it's built into the control board, so there's nothing that can go wrong. Your remotes don't work, it's because you need new batteries or reprogram, and it's pressing buttons and switching batteries. It's super simple. So
really easy, yeah. All right, so as I mentioned, we're here in Greenview. What is the address here?
8682 North Highway 5.
What's the best landmark that you would tell somebody? I mean, you guys have the signs, but what would you say is the best landmark?
We're across from the glory hole.
Kind of diagonal.
No, we're about a mile up from the Niagara Bridge. Yeah, which is probably the best way to find us.
Which is real close to like the cave.
Yep, but if you can find Greenview, you can find us. We've got billboards, we've got signs, we've got arrows, we've got lights. You'll see us.
All the things.
Yep.
Directly across the street from Somerset.
Somerset and MJ's gas station.
MJ's gas station, catty corner from Naughty Dough, right?
Naughty Dough, yep. Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So now this isn't just about the boat lift controls. You've now got a showroom and you're selling all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and kind of fell into it. So bought this building 3 years ago and have been rehabbing it, took it down to the studs and fixed it all up and got this big showroom. And then we realized we don't need that much space for our control unit. A 5x5 spots more than enough. So we started taking on new products like wet steps. That was the first one we took on, and they really help us. It brings in good qualified customers. They've been selling them forever, and they're just great product and great company. And then we just started looking for more stuff we could sell and helping little guys get started that are building products. We like really helping those guys out. I got a soft spot for the little guy who's trying to get going. So we've got a thing called the Yak Rack. Just a rack that goes onto your dock that you're able to put your lily pads and kayaks, things like that, and it goes off the dock so you don't take up any dock space. Then we're also carrying different products like the steps to help you get in your boat. We have several different kinds of those. We actually make a lake map, and we do custom lake maps in canvas and poster. We've done some pretty cool ones for people. We also developed a dock plate that makes it a lot easier to install the wet steps, and we sell them here. And then also K&R's sells those for us as well. We're a dealer for K&R. So if you need to get bumpers or rub rail or anything for a dock, you can come in. We can order it through K&R and get it delivered here. Also just got into selling the poly furniture. Outside, it's the lifetime furniture for docks and decks. So pretty much anything wrapped around lake life. Our docks and your decks and stuff like that is what we do. We're getting ready to bring in lily pads and flags and life jackets and things like that. We're coming to find out that we're one of the few people open on weekends on the west side that sell those sorts of things. So if you need to get out and get kids on the boat and get a life jacket, we've got it. We'll have the flags and all those types of things too.
West Side Unite. And I know there's West Siders that always say there's not enough publicity coming to our side of the lake. I think there's some that say, good, keep it that way.
Keep it over there, yeah.
And then there's others that say, come on, give us some love.
Yeah.
Well, here we are.
If you've ever drove through Osage Beach on a holiday weekend, you don't want to go there. That's a good thing for them, but we're on this side of the lake because we like it quiet. If we could stay over here and spend money over here, even better.
Amen. So let's talk about some of these products. We talked about the contraption. What was it called where you put the wakeboards on it? The yak rack.
That's pretty cool.
Now we're sitting on some bar stools that are designed and built for a dock. They've also got steps. They've also got tables, right? Tell us a little bit about that company and the product that they provide here.
Innovative Marine Designs. Contacted him to be a dealer and just bring something new, and been going good. It's just a safer way to get it on and off the boat. It's really nice for elderly people, and it's really handy for speedboats because even when that lifts all the way down, you still got to get up and get in the boat. So it's been a pretty nice thing to make boating safer because if you're ever falling between a dock and a boat, you don't want to ever do it again.
No, that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Now, and these steps are very easy install. They don't require any drilling holes into the docks, right?
Yep. Comes easy clamp to go on the post, and then 2 screws in the dock bed.
Now these as well, these bar stools.
Yep, they also manufacture these.
Pretty awesome.
Yes,
heavy
very
duty,
cool.
just designed to be super comfortable. You can kind of see with the, ergonomics or the design of it. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they got the tables that go around the.
Yeah. They sell some pretty cool products, and yeah, we've been happy to team up with them and try and do something.
Awesome. Now you've got some other boat steps as well.
Yep. And then there's another company, Fab Tech, that's making them to make a little wider step. So just trying to give people options. Some people want as little of a dock taken up. Some people want more room to stand up and use the step. So we're offering both so that they have an option. Both fairly priced about the same. So it's just kind of whatever your preference is.
Yeah, got it. Now, as you can see behind us, and obviously we'll show you through B-roll, are all of these lake maps. Everybody's got to have a lake map in their house.
Yeah, well, and all we could ever find, all you ever see is just a silhouette of the lake. I teamed up with a company out of New England to build this map, and it's got every lake road, every creek, every cove, every mile marker, just everything. So you actually get substance out of the map. And one thing we can do, since we're able to customize them as well. You know, some things we've done in the past is we've done some aerial shots with it, you know, an arrow to their place. We'll put their name on it and things like that. And you can just do some pretty cool stuff.
You've got one with the lake bars.
Yeah, we got one with all the lake bars, which is pretty cool. We did one that was 8 foot long, framed for the guys down at Polylift. And they use it for their guys to show them kind of where they go. And we do a big 8 foot poster map that a lot of the lift guys and dock guys are buying for their shops so they can put where their ramps are and things like that.
Mile markers.
Yep. A lot of guys we've been phone backing them too. When their friends come over, they can put pins of where they're at or pin where they go and stuff like that. So,
oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that basically, whatever you can dream up, you can pretty much create.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was telling them, if you follow us, you know that we're working on a map with an updated list of all of the lake bars.
Yeah.
Hopefully with the help of all the locals. And I believe the count is something like 58. So when we get that print done, we're going to make sure we get it over here to Captains Joyce and Ethan in their showroom, and hopefully have some options hanging on the wall, and you can come here and buy them fully framed, because I only plan on selling digitals.
Yeah.
So
yes, we'll print them, get them ready, and customize them, do whatever. We'll make that an option for everybody.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Now, as you drive by, you can't help but notice the furniture out front.
Yeah.
What's the material that these furniture?
It's polywood. It's lifetime warranty stuff. It lasts forever. Like I've got a set at home I got for my wedding 8 years ago, and it looks like the day I got it. Colors don't fade. If you want to buy something once and not buy it again, this is what you buy.
You can get them customized as you've seen. You know, we've got the Chiefs colors, we've got Mizzou colors.
Yep.
I suppose we could do Jayhawks or Cubs or one of those terrible teams.
That's Steelers out there, not Mizzou.
Steelers. Okay, gotcha. This is Missouri.
Okay, still Steelers. There's Steelers here. If they leave here, they can be whatever they want.
Well, you know, we don't have we have the Chiefs, of course, but as a St. Louis, and we don't have a football team. So, but we are Cardinals fans here. I had to ask them that because it's just something I got to know. Nobody's a Royals fan.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, Kansas City.
Sorry, Ron Dugan.
But you do have the Chiefs, so there's that. Awesome. And now the last thing that you mentioned, and there's other things, there's some boat cleaners, hole cleaners, things like that, but you mentioned I'm going to call it the rectangle. It's proprietary. You've built it. It replaces concrete blocks on your dock that makes installing the wet steps easier, makes it probably safer to walk on.
Yeah.
Describe all this.
Installing the wet steps on a concrete dock, you have to drill completely through the concrete and then get into the frame of the dock as well, or else it'll just pull those blocks up. So this makes it a lot easier. You just take 2 blocks out, put it in, drill it into the frame, and it's a much easier, cleaner install. It makes it to where you can move them around easier, and it turns something that's really pain to do into something super simple that anybody can do.
Yeah.
If they own a drill, they can do it.
Really? So because it comes pre-drilled, right? The holes?
Yep, and the holes are pre-drilled for that, and you just got to get it into the dock frame. And it makes it to where you don't have to wait for an installer to get it in. You can just take it home and do it. And we're really careful in building it and pricing it to where it's cheaper to buy a dock plate than it is to pay someone to install it. So you're getting a better product for the same money. Yeah, so it works out for everybody. And then it's got sea deck on top, so it's nice and soft and cool whenever you get out of the lake.
Yeah.
Keeps that slipping hazard and stuff out and all that fun stuff. We do that in a 2x2 and a 2x4. So you can either move one block. We developed a 2x2 after the 2x4, so any ladder could do it. Just your standard ladder you can do, or pretty much anything that you need secured to the dock, you can secure to that and screw that to the dock. They're aluminum, lightweight. We've had a lot of customers actually taking them and using them for fishing holes. So they'll replace their concrete block with one of these. They're light and they've got an easy way to pick them up. So they're just putting them on their dock, picking them up, and crappie fishing through them.
Nice. Okay. So again, as I mentioned in the very beginning, all the things you didn't realize you need, but as you watch this video, you're like, oh crap, I got to get over to the showroom. Yeah, and we've just been slowly adding stuff that kind of works with our product as well. And if it's dock related or back patio related, that's kind of what we're gearing to. Yeah, so a lot of these products, obviously, again, I'm going to emphasize this, local. It's everybody who knows me knows it's all about promoting local. There's not a whole lot of options to buy the Captain's Choice product anyway, but now knowing that you have somebody local who, if you have an issue, you show up and you haven't been down since Labor Day and something's not working, you guys are always on call.
Yeah, always on call, and we usually stay pretty well caught up. If something comes in, we get it done. That way, if we get calls, we can take care of it. We do things a lot different. You know, warranty work comes before installs, comes before billable work. If you've got something under warranty and there's a small issue, we take care of that first. You know, we don't schedule installs for Friday or Saturdays because we want to be available if someone were to call, because this lake's a big area. Sometimes we'll get a call and we got to huff it an hour across the lake, and we're not going to make you a promise we can't keep and tell you we're going to be there when we might not be able to, because we're taking care of the people. If they've got a boat full of family and they're waiting to get out, we're going to get there and get them taken care of so they can get on the water.
So what you're saying is, which is a novel idea down here at the lake, is you actually answer your phones.
Yeah, which is challenging at times, but yeah, we're always here. We don't hide from anybody. We're not scared to help you out.
That's awesome. This product literally works on all lifts.
Any airlift, yeah. Yeah, we're going to accommodate any airlift with them.
I mean, we've seen some MTIs on them, probably seen some...
Yeah, we got them everywhere. Anything from a PWC to 30,000. We've done a handful of those this year. We do some big ones, little ones. We do them all.
What's the biggest boat on the lift that you've put one on?
Oh, I wouldn't even know.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe one of the 60-footers that are rolling around now?
Oh, those are usually floating. We do a lot for the MTI guys and the race boat guys, which makes shootout. We're going around getting everybody ready to go because we don't want them missing a race because of us. So we make sure they're all set, you know.
Fantastic. So once again, they can come in here to the showroom in Greenview. I assume also maybe online. Give us all of the places that we can find you.
Yeah, you can get a lot of information off our website or come straight to the showroom here in Greenview. We're always here. Our hours are 8 to 3, but there's typically somebody here from 8 to 7. A lot of times we can leave parts out if we're not going to be here, things like that. I don't live too terribly far away. We can meet people on Sundays and open every Saturday no matter what, because that's when you're down, that's when you need us, so that's when we work.
Awesome. And the website is boatliftrremotecontrol.com.
Yep.
So say that again, boatliftrremotecontrol.com. And you have a little replica here in the showroom that you can actually play with and see exactly how it works.
Yeah, it's fish tank. It's got crappie and frogs and things like that, and a boat lift in it with a working boat lift control. So you're able to actually use it, operate it. We can show customers how a boat lift actually works, because you know a lot of people think it's just like a garage door, and it's not. There's a lot more to it. It's all gravity. With it there in your face, you can actually show people how they operate and why they operate the way they do. And you know, if you try and do that on a dock, it's going to take you a half hour going up and down and messing around. This is a 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up. You can see how everything works, and it's a great way to show customers what they're getting before they get it.
Yeah. So now I just want to know, everybody who's stuck with this video and watched this all the way through, you've probably gotten out a pen and paper and you've made a list of all the things that you need to run by your wife or your spouse to tell them what you need to come over here and buy. I want you to come here. I want you to tell Ethan that you watched this video. Let him know that this is what inspired you to buy the things that you didn't know you needed, but now you do.
Yeah, and that's one thing we're seeing a lot of is like we have customers that'll come in for a set of wet steps and they'll say, oh, you do the control units too, and then that'll get the ball rolling, and then they end up with both, or vice versa. They come in for a control unit thing or to pay a bill or get a battery, and they see some steps and that'll work perfect for what we need. We didn't know we needed it, but now grandma can get on the boat. So that's kind of what we do here, and just every product kind of plays off each other and stuff.
If you're from the west side, you know this area. If you're not from the west side, now is your excuse to come on over here. You can go to one of the best seafood purveyors around town. That's right here. You can always go visit the world-renowned Glory Hole. We got some good Mexican right over here. We've got Naughty Dough, the Cave. If you want to get out on the water, if you've not been out of the Cave, it's an incredible restaurant owned by redheads. They do an awesome job.
Stogies Liquor Store and Bar up there.
Stogies Liquor. Okay, there you go.
My wonderful wife, Sublime Spa. They want to get a massage, facial.
Husbands come in here and shop, drop your wife off for a massage.
Exactly.
Then while she's still getting her massage, you run over and get a cigar, then go hang out on the Glory. We got everything over here.
We're trying to, yeah. Yeah, we're trying to. Get your hair cut, get a massage, get some food.
All the things.
All the things, yeah.
I love it. Ethan, this has been awesome, man. I love supporting local businesses. I'm excited to learn about you. More people need this remote control on their docks with their lifts. And then while you're here, go ahead and grab the stuff
what else
you
we
need.
got. There's some weird stuff too, so there's always something new.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thank you.